Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. It's a super exciting day. We've got some fun stuff planned. Our dragon is already snorting in the background. She's a bit muddy. We've had some rain this week, so I'm going to groom her up, and then we are going to see what she thinks about a saddle. So let's get into it. I'm going to start getting some of this mud off and making sure she's clean for the saddle, and we're going to go. She loves this spot, Gretchen, right here, but only on this side. The other side, she's not as into it, but this side, she likes this cheek spot right here. That's the spot she always gives me for scratches. I'm going with the curry comb to make sure I get as much dirt and crud from where her girth is gonna lie off as possible. It is like 30 degrees outside, so I really don't want to put any products on her. I just want to see if I can get her as clean as I can with brushes. So we're just really trying to get in to her armpits and everything too, and just get her as clean as I can. So this is just brush number one. This is first step brush. I'm just kidding. Yeah. First step brush. Oh shoot, I didn't realize you were there. I almost like ran into you. Yeah. And then get a bit of the booty. Get some of the dirt off the booty. Look at this. Like, look at all this pudginess that she has now. It's wonderful. And she does not carry tension in her body, at least in this area. Look at this. Jiggle. We love it. And this is all filled out now. We're just loving the jiggles. Loving all the jiggles, booty jiggles. And I just, yeah. Hairs everywhere. And then you cut that part out. But she's literally such a well-behaved horse, and it's super crazy when I think like she's only 3, just about to be 3, and she's this calm, this sweet. You can tell someone put a lot of time and effort into getting her to be this way. Yes, unfortunately, she still ended up in a kill pen, but it made me think the other day, like, when I was working at the rescue, we were always saying, like, as long as they have all these skills and they're desirable horses, you know, they're friendly, they're kind, they do what they're supposed to, they won't end up, you know, in a bad situation. And it's just crazy to think, like, she's literally a baby, she's sound, and she has all these desirable traits aside from being like literally the biggest saint of a pony ever. And she still ended up in a kill pen. She still ended up in a not great place. And it's just kind of depressing to think about that a little bit, but then like I'm just happy I have her. So it's kind of two sides of the same coin, right? Like, I'm not happy that she ended up in a difficult spot, but I'm really happy that I got her. Like I mentioned, we have a bit of a mud situation going on right now because of the weather. But I just wonder, like, when we get the mud out of their hooves, is it uncomfortable? Like, if you have something stuck in your teeth, does that relief feel the same way? Like, they just feel so much better to not have all this, like, junk and stuff in their hooves? I mean, it's gotta feel better, right? I think it's gotta feel better. I'm gonna go ahead and finish brushing her out, getting as much mud as I can, at least off the important areas, and then I will show you guys what we're working with. Yeah, this was a clean, straight from the wash jacket when I came out here, and now it's like completely covered in hairs, and it's not even shedding season yet. So fun times with the ponies, but she's got hairs just flying off of her everywhere. The bridle that we're going to be working with, it's just your regular English bridle. It does have a flash. We're not going to use it tight, but I do like the support of the flash for snaffles. So the flash is just this little piece right here. It goes below the bit, and I'm going to use it for her since she's young, and I have had other young horses spit out bits or put the bridle underneath their tongue, which is not great safety wise. But I'm going to go with this 3-piece just because I think it'll be more relaxing in her mouth and it'll be a little bit softer. I know my thoroughbred was really sensitive like she is, and he did not like just the 2-piece. He didn't like how the connection could like tap the top of their mouth. So he was a big fan of this one. So we'll see what she thinks of it. She's actually had the bridle on already. She definitely thought it was weird, but I wouldn't say she hated it. She just, it's a very foreign object to have in your mouth. But she was good with it, and we're just going to keep working on it. And yeah, we're not going to be working her off of it. I'm going to be putting the rope halter over this. It's just for her to let the bit hang in her mouth and just kind of get used to the feeling of it before we start using it. So for saddles, we're going to use my lovely dressage saddle. It is definitely faded. I bought it used, but it is probably one of the saddles that I've sat in that holds me the best on the horse. I love the way I feel in it. I would love to maybe dye it and give it some more care and love. I got it used, and it is so old. When I reached out to Steven with the serial number, they couldn't even look it up. They said it was probably at least 30 years old. And that was when I bought it like 3 years ago. So I love this saddle, and I hope it fits her. I hope she likes it too. Change of plans. So I went over there to lunge Vhagar, and it was still too muddy in the spot that I like to use, and I don't want to risk her slipping and hurting herself. My plan instead, my new modified plan, is to hand walk her with the saddle and everything. And so I'll just do that for a couple of days instead to get her used to the feel of it on her before having her trot or do anything more with it. I brought her away from where we tie our tie pole because I don't want to have her tied when I saddle her for the first time in case she has some big emotions about it. It's much safer for her to be in hand away from other objects. I do have my tack here on the floor. Don't come for me. This is just the best spot I have at the moment, and I didn't feel like carrying a saddle rack out here. So, and it's just one more obstacle in case she does have big feelings about it. You got her right here. I did put her bridle in my pocket so that the bit is warm. I don't want her mouth to be all cold. It's a new experience as it is. I think it would just be a worse experience if you're trying to put it in her mouth and it's like ice cold. So that's what we're working with right now. I think I'm going to start with bridling her, and then I'm going to go ahead and put the saddle on. So first things first, I'm going to go ahead and get this rope halter. I like to train with rope halter. I think it has better feel and just works with them better for training. But the rope halter I use is narrow, and so as a safety precaution, when I am tying her and grooming her, that's why you'll see her in a leather halter. It's just safer for her to be tied in the leather halter than in this in this rope halter. And that's because of the narrowness of this twine. She has not set back, which has been great. I'm just going to toss this out of the way. She has not been setting back, which I love, but my other horse used to set back, which was super traumatic, and I just don't want to experience that again. So I have all these little safety things that I do now because of it. We're just going to see how she is with bridling. I would like for her to lower her head for the bridle. That's a work in progress. She is a very high-headed breed. Dutch harness horses are very high-headed, but we're just going to tickle the top of her pole, get her to lower her head. There we go. She already knows the bridle is coming. Oh, and I have this rope halter around her neck just because we are in a field and so she doesn't just walk away in the middle of what we're trying.
So unfortunately, my mic decided to take this moment and die, but I just want to give you guys a good voiceover. I'm working with Vhagar. I'm trying to get her to lower her head and take the bridle softly. It would be really easy to just go ahead and kind of make her accept the bridle, but since I want her to ultimately be the kind of horse that like 100-year-old lady could just go ahead and bridle, I'm taking my time. It is a bit of a slower process. I just asking her to lower her head and pay attention, and you'll kind of see here I switch my position up just a bit since she's constantly turning her nose away. I go ahead and just put my arm around her nose. That way I can kind of keep her a little bit closer. And you'll see there, I kind of do a little bit of fumbling at this moment. I'm struggling to get the bridle in position. I'm kind of trying to figure out how I can get her to be a bit softer about it. This is a bit of a newer concept for me. When I've haltered young horses in the past, I've kind of just put it on and moved on with my day. And it does produce horses that I can just, bridle no problem. But I'm trying to take things a bit slower with Vhagar in this regard. I want her to be a bit softer and a bit more of a willing participant. So you can see I do kind of like speed up a little bit just because she is just getting really good about turning her head away. And if you're watching this and you've bridled horses in the past, there's multiple moments in here where I could have just slid it on. But you can see here towards the end, she's lowering her head a bit more. She's still really soft, even though she's not quite sure about putting on the bridle. She's not fighting real hard. And I just keep bringing her back to the same spot. She's turning her head away and she's kind of thinking through it, but I want her to show that even if it takes a while to get the result we want, we're going to do it slowly, we're going to take our time, and we're just going to keep coming back to the same spot. So she does take a few steps a couple times where she does take a couple steps away from me. But I just go ahead and gently bring her back and we start again. Here, I will say this is a do as I say, not as I do moment. And there my finger got in the way. If not, the bit would have just gone in. But I get a little bit closer to her. And this position works. I trust Vhagar a good amount now that she's not just going to go ahead and give me a concussion with her head. But I don't generally recommend getting right up underneath the horse or not having your arm between the horse and you, just because if she did decide to toss her head in that moment and whack me, it could be quite painful. But she's a really good horse and everything worked out. Here I am just being obsessive with fixing all of the little billet keepers. I don't like having any of my straps flapping around on her face, so I'm just taking a moment to do some adjustments. She's had the bridle on twice before, but I've just been tweaking it each time I put it on her to make sure it's comfortable for her. And she's chomping on the bit a bit, getting used to it. And here I'm just taking time to make sure the noseband is loose and comfortable for her. I want her to be able to open her mouth and use everything properly. I use the noseband and the flash mostly just for looks. I do like having the flash, which is the thinner piece of leather that I'm doing right now below the bit. I like having it just as a support to keep that bit in position, but it's not anything used to like keep her mouth closed at all. You'll see in the next second here, she just decides to start opening her mouth as she's playing with that bit and getting used to the feeling here. But you can see that it's not restrictive. It's just more of a gentle support to keep that bit in place. And I was about to put the halter over her bridle, and then I remembered that I forgot to do her chin strap. So I had to tie the rope halter back again and get this last little piece into position. And as I'm doing that, I just make sure that everything is still good. The other billet keeper from the other side had slid down, so I just kind of reached around and fixed that while I was there. And there's just my husband showing you him looking at it. And I just like to give everything another little check over, make sure I didn't forget anything again, and throw her halter on. Just as a reminder, like I'm getting back into horses. I grew up riding. I have done some showing in the past, but I have not really worked with horses or been around horses in the last 3 years. In the last 3 years, aside from doing equine photography, I've had a handful, literally, I think like 4 or 5 lessons in the last 3 years, and 2 of those were like in the last 6 months. So I've definitely out of practice. I'm trying to get back into everything, and it is so much to remember. So I just like to take my time even more so to make sure I'm not missing anything. So here you just get to see me yapping about it and talking about everything, and Vhagar just kind of hanging out with me. I go to throw the pad on. Since she's had it on before, I don't do a whole lot of flapping it and showing it to her. So I just kind of toss it on her since she smelt it and seen it. So let me just kind of turn her so you guys can get a better view. And then I do toss it. Since she does have that little flinch there, I go ahead and toss it again. Just because I like to, when I decide to keep a piece of tack on them, I want her to just be indifferent about it. You know, it'd be great if she had a positive feeling about it, but if nothing else, I just want her to not care that I toss it over her body. So that's why I do it a little bit. I do an extra little toss there. And then I'm going to kind of fix the position because it was a little bit further back and that tag was kind of flopping out. And I do use the little billet keeper straps. So I flapped them out of the way, but now I can see they just kind of fell back down. I have this half pad. I like it a lot. You'll see as the video goes on. I was kind of using it to give her a little bit extra cushion support. But after I had my saddle on her and I saw her moving in it, I'm not sure if I'm going to keep using that pad on her. It does kind of slip. And I feel like at this point, the pad was maybe hindering more than it was helping. I think the saddle would actually fit her better without having that half pad on there. So we'll see how it fits and just if we're going to continue using it. But that's what I was using with the surcingle, just to make it more comfortable as it laid across her back. So if the pad keeps shifting and stuff, I probably won't keep using it. But we'll just see how it goes. But now that she has the pads, I go ahead and I get the girth and the saddle together. I do give her the opportunity to sniff the saddle and just kind of look at it so she knows what I'm about to throw on her back. Since she's been so unflappable, if you guys have been watching my shorts series of showing Vhagar new things, you'll see that she's pretty brave and she also adjusts to new things really well. So I don't do a whole lot of tossing the saddle on and off of her. I just kind of give her an opportunity to look at the saddle before I gently place it on her back and start tacking her up. So she's just kind of hanging out. She's been chill. I give her like opportunity to hear the sounds when I shake it right there, and then I just kind of go for it. And then I just start making my adjustments, making sure that the pad is pulled up and everything is where I want it before I start putting on the girth and just doing all the different parts. So there you can see it's real tucked up, and you know, if you don't ride, we just tuck the saddle up because it makes it more comfortable for them. Because if the pads are not tucked into the saddle like that, it can just put a lot of pressure on their withers as they're moving, and their withers is that hump on their spine. So I decided to tuck it, and I'm coming over to the offside to get the girth into position. And yeah, my half pad is kind of out of position now, so I do a lot of fidgeting with the tack for a bit. This girth, most of my tack, she is inheriting from my last horse. I bought this saddle. I went through quite a few saddles trying to fit this horse, my last horse, and this saddle never actually made it onto him. So it's just been in the background, but I loved it and I used it for training a couple other horses. So I was really excited when it looked like it was going to be a good fit for her, because this saddle it's one of those saddles. I found it online on an online auction for a local barn that was closing down. They were selling a whole bunch of saddles and it was the right size for me. And then once I actually started using it, it was so comfy. That little hand flick was me just explaining the straps that are attached to the pad to the saddle. It's just there to make sure as she's moving that the pad doesn't just go flying out from behind him, which the half pad, the cushy bit that you see directly underneath the saddle, the straps were not long enough, and that's why you'll see it does start shifting. So I feel like that half pad is a bit too thick. So I either need to take out the extra pads that are in it, or I just need to ditch the half pad. So we'll be playing around with things, seeing what's most comfortable for her and what works best all around. And we're just kind of fighting it. She does take a step away here as I'm doing the girth. Since it's the first time she's had the full saddle and everything, and she only had the surcingle on twice before, I'm not really going to get after her for taking a step away because she's still getting used to the feeling. So we just decided to go ahead and hand walk so she can get a feel for that saddle, but there's not a whole lot of pressure in the moment. We're just kind of walking around and experiencing everything. And you can tell by her expression, she's a little bit unsure about the moment. She's definitely thinking about everything. I go ahead, I walk her around, and she's just great. She's honestly a bit more interested in just, where we're going. What my husband's doing is he's running around recording, and she does have this little moment where you can see she gets a little bit tense and a little bit unsure about having the saddle on her back, but she quickly gets over it and just keeps going. And that's one of the things I love about Vhagar. She's a young horse. Things are new experiences for her, but she has such a good head on her shoulders. She's got a really good brain. She thinks through situations before she just panics. And they are prey animals. It's understandable if she were to be spooky or unsure, but she really takes everything in stride and just thinks it through. She gets a little bit grouchy right there. I think she wanted to go snag some hay because we just walked past her big hay bale. But you can see she stays focused. She stays with you, even if she has some opinions of things she'd rather do. But here we spend some time just walking around the pasture and giving her some feel for having the tack. And I love how she is walking with her head real low. She's pretty relaxed. And that's something I've been really happy with her. When she first came home, she was walking around like a giraffe. Everything was scary. Everything was new. And she's really just settled into herself. And that's just been so beautiful to see her confidence and her comfort just really come out as she's been here. I love having her be comfortable enough to express herself, but she's also not just walking around and tense and everything. I've been watching more and more videos and reading books about just allowing horses to be more expressive and have more opinions as you're working with them. And ultimately, yes, horses need to be able to do the tasks we ask of them, but I don't see anything wrong with it being a conversation. So I do slap the stirrup a little bit just so she can hear the sound. And she was not sure about the sound on that side the first time. So she does kind of take some steps away. And then I think as she got going, she thought that the little tap was maybe a cue to move. And so we just kind of had to work through that it's just a sound. It's not really something that she needs to to respond to. It's just a sound that's happening. And just because we do it on one side, that means we got to go ahead and do it on the other side. Horses, we like to say they're right brain, left brain. So we go ahead and work them on both sides, because if she's scared of flappies on one side, we want to make sure that, you know, she gains that confidence on each side. So here we just flap on her other side, and she was not as bothered on the flappy bits on this side, and that's why we practice it on both ends. We just want to make sure everything is smooth going and we have no issues. And just like for mounting, you know, some people will only mount a horse on one side. I like to use both. You never know when you might be on the trails, or if you're in an unfortunate situation, you need to use that off side. I'd much rather just have the horse already trained and used to using both sides, that we can just go ahead and not really worry about if, oh no, like I'm in this new situation and can they handle it? Like we're just gonna get her ready from either side. I want her to be like, you know, just idiot proof. I love a well-behaved horse, but I also love a horse I don't have to tiptoe around. I want to be able to just, you know, mess with them and just enjoy them. And so you'll see, you know, Vhagar, I've only had her for a month or 5 weeks, you know, at this point. I think last week was when it was a month, so now 5 or 6 weeks. So, you know, but you don't see me like tiptoeing around her. We're just kind of, we're doing things, we're walking, you know, if she has some feelings about something, we just work it through. And I think that's one of the reasons our relationship has been able to just move through quickly. We're not nervous to mess with each other, and if she needs to communicate that something's not comfortable for her, or, you know, it's new, it's scary, you know, she can just express that and we move on. But we're just gonna walk around some more. She's got her stirrups down, so they're kind of tapping and flapping, but they're not, you know, it's not as much as if she were trotting or cantering with those stirrups around. And they're carbon fiber stirrups, so they're really light. I think they're only like, you know, 2 or 3 ounces. They're super lightweight. That's one of the things I liked about them. But it also makes them a bit more gentle than if she had, you know, heavy metal stirrups flapping around, like the ones around my jump saddle. So here you can just see, you know, she's hanging out. She's getting more comfortable and relaxed. Her facial expressions are relaxing as she walks around more and we explore, and she can just have an opportunity to get everything and get her feels. She's still just adjusting to the feel of the bit, the feel of the saddle. But I think for her first experience having everything on, it was overall really positive, and I'm really happy with her. And I'm just looking forward to actually getting to lunge her and see what she does with the saddle when she's moving a bit more independently.
So if you made it this far in the video, I want to thank you for following along and sticking with us. I know it was a little unfortunate that we lost the audio, but I hope you guys still enjoyed that later half of the video. In order to make it up to you, we are going to post a second video this week. So if you want to make sure you don't miss out on that, I do read every comment. So if you guys have any suggestions or anything you want to see, don't forget to drop it in the comments below. I love reading them and just seeing all you guys' kind words. We really appreciate them. The next couple of videos are going to be really focused on getting Vhagar ready to ride under saddle. I can feel the moment is coming really soon. She's progressing a lot faster than I expected. So we know we're going to be riding really soon. I think in the next couple videos, you're going to be able to see me get on her. It's going to be a really big moment. Drop it in the comments below if you guys think she's going to be ready to ride by then. Thank you guys so much for all your love and support, and we'll see you guys again soon. Mwah.